missed us because you were home.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. In preparation for the second chapter in The Strangers, I've decided to go back to the very beginning to 2008 to do a review for the original The Strangers, starring Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. Now, of course, there are going to be spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, then obviously don't watch the video. However, if you don't mind spoilers or if you've seen the film, then continue watching. Now, the story goes, Kristen and James go back to James's house, or his second house, his father's house, to relax for the night after a wedding reception. Now, at this moment in time, we don't know the full story as to who they are, why they're there, or why they're not happy with each other. But as the story progresses, we find out a little bit more. We find out that James proposed to Kristen at a wedding reception and she said no. And he was expecting her to say yes, take her back to his dad's cabin house, and he would have everything all laid out, all the petals and stuff like that, and have a romantic evening after a really nice wedding reception and great news that they were going to get married. However, because she said no, it looked like they were going to break up. I don't know why they would have broken up. I mean, if she said no, she's not ready to be married, then why don't they just wait until she's ready? So it seems like she's been a little bit more serious in this, thinking, I don't see a future with us, therefore I think we should break up, and that's caused it. So going back to the cabin, they're a dysfunctional couple because they're not really happy with each other. He's not happy that she's not happy with him or being with him. So we've got a dysfunctional relationship already between these two characters. And then in comes the three masked strangers to cause havoc and terror on this couple. We find out that this is James's dad's old cabin that he uses. And we find out through natural conversation between the two characters. It's not forced and dumb where it's trying to tell the audience, oh, by the way, this is a cabin that James used to be part of. They're not spoon feeding us the story, even with the story of them almost breaking up at the wedding reception. It goes back and forward a little bit. It makes it natural so that the audience can question it first of all and then go, so that's why. But we do quickly find out that they're not alone. We do have the three masked people outside causing havoc. Why are they doing this? We just don't know. Glenn Howerton shows up briefly as James's friend Mike. He was supposed to come and get James in the morning, but Mike decided, I'm going to come to you now because I'm available, I'm exhausted, let me just get you and come home. But as he's coming to collect James and Kristen were already under attack by the three masked strangers. So when Mike shows up, James thinks he's one of the strangers and he shoots his head off and kills him. He should have followed the Dennis system. D-E-N-N-I-S. After a night of torture and playing around, the three masked killers end up torturing and killing the couple, or so it seems. We do get a little brief moment of Kristen possibly surviving, and she could even appear in a future movie. In terms of the atmosphere, it was quiet, it was moody, it was a great tension build-up film straight from the beginning right to the very end. Like I said, it was very quiet, so not much was really happening. What we were focusing on mostly was the background, I would say, because we could see the strangers walking around in the background. We know something that Kristen and James don't know as an audience, so we're getting involved as well. People are screaming, they're in the background, they're in the background. So some of that was really nice, really nice and moody. The only music that we get in the film is anytime they put a vinyl record on, that's the only time we hear music, as in songs. We do get score as well. The score is fantastic. The score is also really moody, intense, but I think the music is really creepy. There is only a handful of characters in the movie, but obviously Kristen and James are the main characters, and I loved them. And it's funny because we learn, as I mentioned, we'll learn more about them as the film goes on. We learn that James was probably trying to impress Kristen when he met her, because he said he used to go shooting with his dad. And she's like, and then he said, I don't know how to handle a gun. And she's like, well, I thought you went shooting with your dad. And he's like, no, I just lied. And she looked at him as if to say, how dare you? And I'm like, it's just a little white lie to maybe try and impress you. It's nothing major. But it's little moments like that that make me understand these characters a little bit more as the movie goes on. And that's testament to the writing, the dialogue and the script, because they didn't force feed it to us. The beauty of this film is we get no motive behind the reasons that the killers are doing what they're doing. It's simply because they were home, and that's it. I know that's what you would call a motive, but it's not a strong enough motive to do what they'd done to this couple.
Because you were home.
And I think that's the scariest part. The fact that you could be home on the wrong day at the wrong time, and these psychopaths can go past and go, oh, their lights on, let's go and torment them. When it comes to the costume design for the three killers, I think they were really good. It came out at a time where masked killers were not really the in thing. At this moment, we had the Rob Zombie's Halloween at the time, between 2007 and 2009. So The Strangers was smack bang in the middle of that in 2008. But masked killers weren't really a big thing back then. And even if they were coming and people were comparing them to the likes of Freddy, Leatherface, Jason, Michael, and they just weren't really holding up. Whereas I think The Strangers masks held up really well, and they were very basic as well. They had the pin-up mask, the doll face mask, and the man in the mask, just like a basic sack head mask, and it was very effective. We had fantastic cinematography. I think they used and utilised the darkness really well. It was quite a dimly lit movie. I know they were in a house with lights, but the lights went off at times, and then we went outside as well, and they utilised the darkness and the shadow perfectly, especially because they were dealing with three masked people as well. So when they were coming in and out of the shadows, we get to see that mask clearly, and then in the shadows as well. So it was fantastic the way they done it. I would say that my only negative was some of the scenes dragged just a little bit, like the barn scene in the shed. It dragged a little bit too long, maybe a couple minutes too long. But apart from that, it wasn't too bad. The scenes that I thought were going to drag or remembered thinking that they dragged, they didn't really, especially the ending. The ending only lasted a couple of minutes. It was bish bash boshed, and then that was it done. The film was under 90 minutes as well, and I think even though we had one or two dragging scenes, overall it was a very fast-paced movie. There's also not much of a body count here, and I think that's maybe a negative for some people that really want to see kills, but for me that's not what this film is about. It's not about the body count. It's a story between two characters that are kind of dysfunctional, and they come together to try and survive a night because these psychopaths just decide to kill people. After 16 years though, I think this film holds up really well. It really holds up well, especially in the character and tension building. In my opinion, it's still one of the best home invasion movies that I've ever seen. So what are your thoughts on the original Strangers from 2008, guys? As always, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
To get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!